Okay, so I've got some project knives here from previous yard sales. These were from recent yard sales. This is a while back. It's a bayonet. Don't know anything about it. So let me kind of go through these and give you my thoughts as to what I intend to do. Stick around if you want to find out. So first of all, this bayonet here, I really... everything seems to work. It just needs to be restored. So that's my intent with this bayonet. I'm going to try, and I can see like someone may have put it on a grinding stone at one time, or maybe that's a natural finish for it. I would assume that these, and this is an actual bayonet. I do believe it is 100% real. I don't know anything about it beyond that it's a bayonet. I have no ideas on what war it may have come through. I'm looking for markings. I don't see any. You've got, and it's been sharpened. It has been sharpened. You can see a slight belly in the blade here. It should be a straight going all the way up. This side is completely sharp. This side right here is about, I'd say a good 3.5, 4 inches long. That it is going up. Normally the back side is not sharp, but this is. So the first 3.5 to 4 inches is definitely sharp on both sides. This, of course, would either, in some cases, affix to the bore of the barrel, or in most cases with bayonets, there would be a lug underneath the bore that this would slip into, and back here is the clip that would lock it in to place and hold it. The release would be here to release the clip so you can pull it back off again. And so your barrel would be above the spine of the knife, and that's where you would continue to fire, and of course use the bayonet as you would use a bayonet. This seems to be in really decent shape. I know you can see a lot of rust, but it's not pitting. It is a lot of surface rust. Some of it, I mean, it's probably a few more years out where it was, and it would have been some significant pitting. But I believe I can take all that out. And so that is the plan. I'm hoping I can get these screws out. I may have to end up replacing this one. If that is, the screw's been corroded away. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So regardless, currently, this is a restore project, and I'm going to try to take you along with me during the restore, so you can see currently the before. There's not an inch of exposed fresh metal. Every single thing is rusted to a certain extent. Again, that is free. It's heavy spring loaded, but it is not binding in any way. So I'm really looking forward to this restore. I've had this for a while, and my intent all along has been to just restore it. So let's set that to the side, and we're going to grab this. This says UTICA Sportsman USA. And it has that old-fashioned cheap feeling. It 100% feels like a cheap knife, and I'm assuming it is probably an insignificant cheap knife. And the reason why I say that, and I believe this is old, I believe this is an insignificant cheap old knife, because you actually have brass rivets holding the two plastic sides, or this may not be plastic, it may be some other form of probably much hardier plastic than what we have today, scales, and so that alone tells me that it's not of today's quality of cheap. That feels like just a, I don't know, I couldn't bend it. So the guard is pretty significant. It's only about 1/8 of an inch thick. The blade profile is kind of reminds me of a buck knife. And someone has actually, I believe, sharpened it a time or two, because there is a slight belly ever so much in the blade. Well, I mean, I'd say it's been sharpened a couple times, and that's about it. As far as sharpness, it is, I mean, I don't even know if it'd cut butter. All honesty, there's no sharpness to it. But my thoughts on this right here was to dress it up, make a turd shine. That's what I'm kind of thinking here. And what I'm kind of considering, unless somebody comes along, watches this video and tells me, no, that's worth something. In which case, I'll just kind of clean the stain, rust stain. So that tells me that this blade, although it is not marked as to steel type, I would say that it is stainless. And I would say that because it is not rusted like this old bayonet here is. Instead, it is just like a stained rust. So, and I can't remember whether it's 316 or 304 stainless. One of them rusts, one of them doesn't. But even the one that rusts, it takes forever to really get any significant rust on it. And so that's what I think this right here is. And it is what we would have called a pot metal knife back when I was a kid. A cheap dime store knife is what we would have called this back when I was a child. So maybe it's worth something, I don't know. But I intend to, unless somebody tells me that it could potentially be worth something, I'm going to probably go and build some custom laminate wood scales and reaffix them with brass studs. And so that's kind of the idea. Go over this, clean this up really good. And this is really just going to be a polishing job on this blade. And then, of course, put an edge on it, a real edge. That'll probably never get worn off because I'll never use it. But that's the ideas for this knife. Again, if you know anything about a UTICA, Utica Sportsman's USA plastic handle knife, I think this would have come with at best a extremely cheap leather sheath, most likely a plastic sheath. But anyway, that's another knife that we're going to do something with. That's going to be a project. Then this is an old Browning knife, and you can see the blade is all super wobbly. I mean, I got it because the handle, it feels like a decent knife. See, when I was a kid, a decent knife would have cost you about 20 bucks. Because this is a good stainless, solid stainless half scale here. And then these, I'd swear that is G10. And I believe all I'm going to need to do is to tighten that blade up. But of course, if you'll look closely, you'll see it's a liner. And it's a liner lock. And I do believe it's got bearings in it. So I think this is a decent knife to have. It has somewhat of a sharp edge to it, not anything to write home about, but it does have a sharp-ish edge. It's branded Browning. The pocket clip it's a good solid pocket clip. I don't really want to flick it open, but let's try it. Yeah, I mean, I could flick it open, but I'm not going to do it because it's just so loose. I don't want to mess anything up because it looks like it's either nylon washers or nylon washer bearings. And as loose as it is, I don't want nothing to come apart. But what I'll wind up having to do is pull these scales off the liner itself on each side, which should expose the axis screws for the pivot, or the pivot screws, to where I can tighten this up. Worst case scenario would be that somehow or another there's no way to tighten that up, and this relied on these liners being more compressed and held together by these back two spacers. I don't know. But I really expect there just to be something to tighten up in the middle. And I think that once this blade got all wobbly, people said, well, nope, I don't need that anymore. So this Browning right here, I just for nostalgia because it looks good. It feels good. It is model 297. Now, it says made in China. Model 297 Browning. So I may look that up. I didn't see that model number, so I may look that up and see if this is actually worth anything. But it's just a neat addition. I usually am not crazy about gun branded knives because they tend to be on the cheaper end of things. They're kind of an afterthought. The main product is the firearm or whatever that they're selling, not the side stuff like the pocket knives and whatever. So I'd like to get it back into great shape, but at the same time, maybe it's worth something. It does feel like it's a decent quality set of scales on there, and the weight, the feel tells me that it is real materials, made in China. But at the same time, a lot of these companies have their products made in China. But by the look and the feel of this knife, I believe that is good stainless there. Now, as far as the blade itself, I don't know. I have no idea what the blade would be made out of, but I can tell you it's a really, really thick knife. I mean, that right there would be a decent skinning knife if it holds an edge. So anyway, that'll be a fixer-upper for sure. Right there. Now, let's get to this one. So I saved this one for last. And so, I don't know, what is this blade? It is 7.5 inches. Yes, every bit of 7.5 inches. This came from a yard sale where a guy had a bunch of beautiful lathes. Mr. Pete, I'm telling you, if you'd have went there, you'd have bought them. Every one of them. The lathe, the milling machine, and the shaper. Yes, a shaper. It had a shaper. And I was looking around and I saw this and I was like, man, you know what? I don't know if that's like a project steel or if they actually took a piece of flat bar and started making it, or if they got a knife steel blank. This back spine on this knife is kind of rolled or rounded, which is reminiscent to me of flat bar. And the handle here, it needs a little bit of straightening. It's kind of, it's a little bent, but I think I can straighten that just fine. The profile of the blade kind of reminds me of a K-bar. I really kind of look at this as though it's K-bar-esque, maybe. And what I think this potentially may have been was a knife blank. And they begin to shape it. And so they profiled the blade right here. There is a slight belly in here. And of course, this is not a finished knife. So I don't believe that it is anything that's been used yet. May not even been tempered. But I have to assume that it's probably going to be temperable metal. I paid $6 for or I think it may have been half price that day, and maybe it was $3 I paid for it. But it was marked $6. I don't remember. That's been a few weeks back. And they had a fuller cut in it, and it's not completely even all the way down. So what I'll probably wind up doing is chucking this up in my milling machine and just evening that out to make it perfect. With a ball nose end mill, catch this side right here as well. I mean, you've got this little tit sticking out down here on the end that makes you want to think it is may have started as a little piece of round stock, and this was affixed to this piece of metal, but I don't think it is. This almost looks like it's got molding marks, so this may have been poured. I don't know. But let's get to my ideas. So I want to, of course, I need to straighten this. The blade itself looks perfectly straight. And I want to flatten this back right here. So I'll take my milling machine with a flat nose end mill, and I'll probably just come across here and completely flatten that backside off. Ball nose, come in here and cut the fuller deep, about the same depth, maybe slightly deeper than this, and uniform all the way down. Then clean up the rest of the blade, and I don't know if I kind of like the character that belly puts in it right there, or I say belly, a reverse belly that it puts in there, and maybe finish this edge to where it is so much better than it is now. And I don't know about sharpening this back edge. Probably not. Most likely leave it as is. The handle. Okay, so I've told you the profile of the blade kind of reminds me of a K-bar. And I love K-bars. And I'd love to have the K-bar sword. I don't know if it's a sword, but it's like 18 inches long. That's what kind of blade it's got. I think that was awesome. I just saw those. May end up with one, but I doubt it. Anyway, so it reminds me of K-bar. And I have some old leather, some old thick cowhide leather. I think I've got some black and brown and different dyed colors. And I may dye them different colors. I don't know. But what I want to do is I'm going to take those and cut round patches, probably about 1 inch or so in diameter. And I'm going to take in all of that, epoxy it all together, put me a shaft on it, stick it on my lathe outside, finish it off, because I want the old rounded style K-bar handle is what's going to end up on here. That's what I see in my mind. Make my guard here, just make it, I don't know, out of aluminum or something. I think the pommel on the back of it, out of aluminum, some round stock, make a ball end and kind of flatten it. Just make it look K-bar-ish is what I intend to do. And there's enough there for me to get a good handle and grip and still have a lot of blade there. So I've got a lot of potential. And so once I make the handle out of leather, then, of course, shape it and style it, design it, all that stuff on the lathe. And then finish fitting it to come into here and glue it on and put the pommel on and have a finished custom K-bar. Of course, the majority of this has been done by someone else. It kind of gives me the impression that maybe it was forged somewhat. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. But at worst case scenario, I would say this is a piece of flat bar and someone made the rest of it. I don't think so, because I swear there is a seam right down here that blends in with the base of the blade. It's hard to show. Maybe you can see that ridge coming down. Maybe you can't. I don't know. Well, let's put it over here. Maybe you can see that ridge coming down. Maybe you can't, but it kind of comes down. It blends in with the base of the blade. Same way here. And you can see a very slight rounding right there at the portion where the tang or whatever that's called ties into the blade itself. So I think this was actually either forged, it was stamped, pressed, or it was a knife blank. And really, I'm thinking it was a knife blank. So that's the ideas that I have here. And I hope you guys are looking forward to coming in and joining me on some of these. I have several other knives that I can't find that I wanted to show you here as well. And kind of give you the ideas that I plan on with those knives. Now, I'm not going to lose track, because I still remember, even though I've had this for probably 3 years, but I still have the same plans for it. This I've had for 3 weeks. I've got the same plans for this. I've had this for probably a year with the same plans, and I just got this past weekend. Not this weekend, but the weekend before, right here. So it's just getting around to doing it. I could just do it, but I quit doing that now. I'm only doing these projects when I can stop and film them so you guys can see as well. I appreciate you guys, and I am looking forward to spending more time with you. See you next time. Your time is very important to me, and I thank you for spending it here with me. Thanks, and God bless.